He who dares wins.
There is a vine, its name's inscribed in ancient books, a face and she's a song, a shining with a common look.
Bit by bit, my block and tackle is doing a marvellous job over there, and now comes a hard bit because I've got a ridge to get up onto here, so it's pulling a ton. It may just drive a gully all the way through it, we'll see, but it's putting muscles on my arms.
There is a law, if passage is one, if further mine to hit all real. Yeah, if in time you read the
So the block and tackle is actually immense in its power. You know, it's pulling a 1 ton tube straight through that ridge, which has been established there for quite a few years, and it was originally the clay and sand spoil that was pooling every time we had a flood. It would pool water, and when the water settled there was this layer of clay and sand or silt on the top. So I dug it all out to put drainage in, and I built the original line and foundations for the building or structure that I'm creating here. So there's immense stress on that rope at the moment, and if I rock it backwards and forwards, you'll see it edge look, just by moving that rock, you see it edge forward. And careful not to put my fingers in there, because it's got about 4 inches of movement in there, 4 or 5 inches of movement. So I'm almost at my final destination, and then I'm going to have to use the block and tackle and any other helping hands to try and erect this pipe. And it's only a ton, so we're not talking about Stonehenge here. The miracle here is that in the middle of that porchway, I planted a money plant, funny enough, and an almond together, because they can withstand immense drought. And every time I do the washing up, I throw them all the greasy, dirty water afterwards, and they continue to survive. And this tube will only just fit through the doorway. But miraculously, that plant is just about there, but on the other side, and it's been shielded. So fingers crossed, that's going to be my my welcome plant. So what we've got here is a tube which I've measured to go exactly around the interior of the smaller part of the rim. As you can see, it's got a collar on it here, so that you could join tubes together. So this is the smaller part of the rim, and this tube fits exactly in it, but the tube isn't exactly circular. So in order to get it to be circular and to define the spot where this water pipe is going to be erected onto, I've placed on the inside of the tube 4 building blocks, and these are going to be filled with concrete to make them completely solid. So I'm going to smash these holes in and fill it up solid with concrete. So that means when we lift the tube, the water tube, it's going to fit almost exactly around the circumference of these 4 building blocks. Now, I hope that makes sense. It's quite tricky, but obviously if the outside of the water pipe is about there, it means it gives me a little bit of play just on each corner to get this massive water pipe, which weighs a ton, to fit over these 4 building blocks. So it's a little bit of a risk, but I've used a spirit level to ensure that each block is exactly symmetrical to the other, and that should ensure that they are pushing out onto this tube and creating a perfect circle. So best of luck. barco me espere en la vida futura quizá. Como el temor en la muerte de los héroes. Una visión de llamas lentamente está extinguido. Veo la criatura muriendo mientras estoy en pie al lado de ella. La raza de seres humanos, un dedo único en las civilizaciones perdidas de Antigua. Dios es un pescador, la mano suya me jaula siempre. Dios es un marinero, sus redes me lavan con el resto. Una sombra lanza más lejos que como hace mi brazo extendido. Ni pueden los dedos míos tocar los ángeles ardientes. Necesito de volver a dar la cara al sol. Y mis labios necesitan vibrar como una caña en los vientos. Si no, mis pies siguen chapotean las mareas subidas. Dios es un pescador, la mano suya me jaula siempre. Dios es un marinero, sus redes me lavan con el resto. Puedo nadar solamente tan lejos como veo yo. Antes lucho a mantener la cabeza sobre la mar. Y en contra a los demás que ya han hundido. Que esperan la caída del héroe. Para que no se sintieran solas en sus fracasos. Dios es un pescador, la mano suya me jaula siempre. Dios es un marinero, sus redes me lavan con el resto. Estoy gozado junto con los alimentos del tiempo. Me pican la superficie a dejar la piel cruda. Pero en la base es profundo y significante. Me prepara para la esencia mía. Hacia la boca de edades antiguas. Dios es pescador, la mano suya me jaula siempre. Dios es un marinero, sus redes me lavan con el resto. Dios es un pescador, la mano suya me jaula siempre. Dios es un marinero, sus redes me lavan con el resto. con miles de voces. Soy la voz del futuro, de la vida que debes seguir. El profeta haciéndolo dos veces, con puños llenados de los pedidos. To the Dutch. Oh, fair enough. So let's have a look at this. This is the entranceway, and one of the aspects of permaculture is to imagine. So it's not wayward imagination, not fantasy, it's like, where do I want to go? It's a vision. So you're coming in and you've got tile walls either side. See it? And that's going to be wire meshed and then mud caked. So it's all going to be looking quite natural and beautiful. And something similar on the inside here, but this is the porch. So imagine this is a porch area before you actually enter the structure proper. And it's going to have some comfy zones. There's a kitchen unit over there, and this is the water collecting tube which I've just erected. Collecting water, which means I'm going to have a good washing up system in here. We'll see how that goes, but here you take off your boots. Yeah, all this is going to be under a top hat ceiling, which will extend beyond the wall so that the mud covered walls don't fall apart under the heavy rains and winds. And it will be all natural, what they call burrow. If you try to put cement on this, it'll probably just eventually crack. It could look nice after a couple of years, but generally we're dealing with structures which will expand and contract, need to breathe, so we're going to use natural mud. Okay, here I am just putting the base into the 3 meter tall system which I'm building in the middle of the volunteer outdoor kitchen. This is going to be collecting water from a roof that's concave shape. So I've been dropping buckets of concrete down. I've just cleaned up the sides of the wall a bit, and lo and behold, I get a wonderful view of my farm. So look at that, there's all the pine poles I've been putting up recently. Some of them have to be changed. That one's too thin, for example. You can see some black olive on that tree. Half the tree's ripened, half aren't, so I've still got quite a season ahead of me. And it's wonderful. See it all from up here, and there, the other side of the dry riverbed beyond my caravan. And all the way over to the mountains. Yeah. I can understand why people like to build above ground. So they've got their viewing platforms, because nature's so much more beautiful when you see it like a bird. Here's the science. So we're 3 meters high at the top, and I've come up maybe a few inches from the bottom. So I met an engineer once, and this type of engineer is the guy who designs structures to build bridges, for instance, or to build tunnels. I mean, they design the equipment that's going to help you build the structure. They don't actually design the structure itself. with that in mind, what he said to me was is that when you actually build a cistern, the thing to remember is that as you go up, the water pressure expanding outwards increases. Okay, so I hope you can see me here. So he said to me the maximum pressure pushing out on a wall or a cistern or a tube in the vertical position is in fact at 1/3 the height of the whole structure to the point at where it's filled with water. So 1/3 here is 1 meter. So at 1 meter point, the water pressure inside the 4.5 tons or 4 tons of 4 cubic meters or 4 tons of water pressure pushing is at maximum at 1 meter height. So that means at 1 meter you must ensure that this structure isn't going to collapse. Now this is fiberglass. I mean, I could put 10 tons of water in here and it's not going to collapse, yeah, in my opinion. But it's not designed to be vertical. It's designed to be a pipe laid into a trench somewhere on a horizontal level. So with that in mind, let's just go outside and pull the ladder out and actually have a look at where that 1 meter point is. Okay, so there we have it. Let's have a look at it. The science is, or the calculations are complicated just a touch because we have a collar on the bottom here where it would have been joined to another pipe. And all that's watertight, it's all water sealed, it's got a rubber seal inside there. So the point being is that that's even stronger at the bottom than the rest of the structure. But if we go up to about 1 meter here, that's where the pressure's coming out. So I have absolutely no fears this structure will collapse anymore. In fact, I don't think I had any in the first place. But when this is all faced in nice Catalonian stone, and there's maybe other attachments to it, may even make a bar around it or something like that, you know, it will all be hidden, and I can drill into it and actually have a water feature or something, you know. It's let the imagination go rampant, dwell on it and just see where it takes you. But at 1 meter high, that's where most of my pressure is. And if I were building something, say, just made of stone or wood, then I would actually apply those calculations. But in this case, this fiberglass is just too damn dense to give way. Now, on the outside of this water system, which is going to be collecting quite a lot of water, I mean, it's going to be ornamental, but the idea is that there will be 3 pillars or 4 pillars around it, which would take the weight of the roof joists. And thinking how close, I mean, originally this was going to be a spot for one of my pine poles, but it's quite close to the cistern already. So what I'm actually thinking is creating one large pillar here that will extend all the way up and on the side there, and we'll actually reinforce that partition between 2 sides of the space, of the open space. So that's it, you've got to imagine. And with a view to maybe looking at the sky and getting enough sunlight coming in beneath the roof.